Hello, and today I want to provide a whole unboxing and review of the Kataaro belts. I found out about Kataaro online. I was looking for a new kind of black belt. I've had two black belts now, and I'm actually looking to experiment with ones that I would like to use for my own school when I have that in the future, so I already know what belt brand to buy. Something interesting about the Kataaro belts is that they can come with a transition layer, and in my case I have it as red, and the kind of meaning behind that is that as you wear your black belt, usually your black belt will fade to a white color, and instead I thought it would be very interesting and very meaningful for my students to have black belts that fade to a red color, because in most martial arts, and especially karate, a red belt indicates being a true master. Generally, the highest belt in most systems is a pure red belt. So by having these black belts that eventually, after many years of training, fade to a red color, I'm not only saying to my black belts, okay, you are proficient in all of the basics of our system, but I'm also saying here, at your core of this belt, I do trust you to become a master. And as you work, you will start to see more of that mastery in your own techniques and in your belt reflected. So eventually, once you wear through your first layer of the belt, you will truly be a master. I've seen quite a few black belts that are very torn up, and they're white, and they look okay, but I've always wondered what it would look like for one to fade to red. So here's my unboxing. It just came in a USPS box. They shipped via USPS. It was like a 3-day shipping time. Manufacturing time was about a week, 10 days. Not too bad considering this is a handmade made belt. I've already opened the package once. This is my second take of this video, but I'll try to emulate the first unboxing as well as possible. Just has some nice packaging to keep everything safe from bouncing around. Here is a nice thank you note, and yeah, they just wrote "Thank you, Aaron" on it. Okay, and here is the belt. The packaging is already unwrapped because I already ripped it apart once. It comes with a nice little Kataaro label right here, made in the USA. And here's the belt itself. The red label here indicates that the core color is red, and it comes with a nice ribbon. On first impression, this belt is much softer than some other belts I've had, and I will be doing a full review as an additional part to this video. I'll be comparing the Tokaido, the one that is considered the worldwide standard by many martial arts studios, and I'll also be comparing a Century black belt that I received when I received my first black belt. I have a black belt in Goshin Jitsu Karate, and I have a black belt in Ishinryu Karate. So I will be comparing those two black belts to this one. Okay, so here are all three belts side by side. I had to actually tie the Kataaro belt down because it is so stiff that it's flopping around. Okay, so as you can see, this is what they look like side by side. Now let's get down to some of the manufacturing details of each of these belts. I'll start with the Century. Okay, as I said, the Century is a very soft core belt. It's very flexible, very light. Okay, these belts are all size 5s. This is what the manufacturing looks like on your Century belt. Okay, as we can see, the stitches are nice. There are 9 of them, or 8 perhaps. Okay, the tip here, I've used this belt quite a bit. Okay, and the back embroidery looks like this. And now something important to take in consideration is the way this stitching, the way the belt is put together, the way that looks. It looks pretty clean. The belt is thin. The cotton on this is pretty soft. It's a very nice, light, flexible, soft core belt. Okay, now the Tokaido. The Tokaido is much stiffer, as I said. It is pretty thick in comparison to the Century, which is moderately thin. Okay, the stitching on the Tokaido is pretty darn good. There's the end, where it all folds together. The back label stitching looks a little bit like this. Very clean, as you can see. You almost can't even see the stitching. And the side stitching, where the belt comes together, is also clean. Okay. The feel of the Tokaido is a little bit more hardcore. It's kind of rough on the outside. It's not quite as soft as the Kataaro or the Century belt. I believe that Century belt ran probably in the range of $20 to $30. The Tokaido, I believe this is the Tokaido Champion belt that runs in about the range of $40, but you also need to get it shipped from Japan. This belt was handmade in Japan, and by the time you pay shipping, you're probably paying around $60, which is similar to the pricing for the Kataaro belt. Okay, and now on to the Kataaro. As you can see, the Kataaro has a very small label on it, pretty well hidden. The stitching looks pretty good on the label. Okay, the end of the belt is stitched like this. It doesn't look quite as clean as the Tokaido, to be honest. It looks a little sloppy on the end compared to that. And the ends don't quite match up, but maybe that just gives the belt character. Okay, and the back label stitching is tough to see here. It is very clean since the label is so small. Okay. Okay, now onto the side where it comes together on the Kataaro belt. The Kataaro belt is different than the Tokaido and the Century, because as we can see here, actually, the way they manufacture it is they have a thin side here on the right. There's a thicker side here on the left and a thin side on my right. So that's a slight difference in manufacturing. The Tokaido is both sides of where it comes together are pretty similar, and the Century is the same way. So I'm going to try these belts on and compare them, mostly try on the Kataaro, try it out. Really, what I think it comes down to is your taste in manufacturing. If you like something made in the USA, then go for the Kataaro belt. I think it's almost exactly comparable, if not slightly higher quality than the Tokaido. As I said, the Tokaido is very rough on the outside. It makes it seem like the Kataaro is made out of higher quality materials that are softer, but the only manufacturing detail that is slightly different with the Kataaro is the end here. As you can see, the ends don't quite match, and it's such a small detail. No one's looking at your belt at this level of detail, then it makes almost no difference. Of course, Kataaro offers the belts with the transition layers, and they also do custom embroidery and will build you custom belts. Their customer service is top notch. I'm sure it's much more difficult to have a belt altered or changed if you work with Tokaido. Once again, manufacturing times are probably quite similar. Tokaido will take longer to ship since it is coming from Japan. Kataaro may save you some time in shipping since it's made in the USA if you live in the USA. ultimately, like I said, it comes down to your preference for the who makes it, and the customer service there in Kataaro did a great job. Has great customer service. Tokaido also did a great job. I don't know about the customer service as I did not buy this belt for myself. But again, one of the things about the Tokaido is that it's made in Japan. Kataaro is just made in the USA, but if you like USA manufacturing and supporting the USA economy, then go for the Kataaro all the way. It's very soft. Seems like a great belt. So now I'll wear it and give you any additional comments that I might have. Some final impressions about the Kataaro belt. I finally put it on, and I can tell you that you can really tell a difference in manufacturing and quality once the belt is actually on. This thing is incredibly soft, and seriously, it feels like you're not even wearing a belt, almost. It seems to be better fitting and softer and lighter than the Tokaido, and whenever I reach down to tighten the knot of this belt, or to just make sure it's still there, I am greeted by very soft material, and it's very, very nice. I'm really enjoying this belt, actually, now that I've worn it a few times. I think it is superior to the Tokaido, simply for how it feels around me. It's awesome. It feels like a dream, to be honest. I put my Tokaido back on and tried all the belts back on, and none of them feel nearly as good as the Kataaro. Something I hated about, I don't hate it, but I dislike it a little bit about my Tokaido is it's not really as heavy and high quality stiff as this belt, but it constantly comes undone. The Kataaro doesn't have that issue. This thing stays tied, and if you do need to tie it, it's a very nice experience because the belt is very, very soft. So I'll be looking forward to really breaking this thing in soon, but seriously, now that I've tried it on, there's a major plus of quality that you can feel as you're using this. It's hard to describe. I hope this helps people with their purchases and helps to provide a solid review of the Kataaro transition belt with a red layer. I'm super pumped to get 20 years down the road and have this thing torn apart and to shreds from all the training I've done, and to finally have a red belt underneath. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.